Hey, everybody. Welcome to this very special episode of the Manufacturing Stream podcast. As usual, I'm Eric Whitley. If you've never seen me on camera before, Director of Smart Manufacturing for L2L. And I got some folks in the studio with me today. I got also my co-host, Phil Anderson, who is the Director and CIO of High Country Global Solutions, Director of IT there. And how you doing, buddy?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you.
Always glad to be here.
Also have in the studio Mr. John Richardson, who is a customer service expert, I guess is what you are. And I don't know what your new title is here, but for L2L. And then you'll also see that I have with us Keith Holloman from Jeld-Wen. Keith is plant manager out at the Dodson, Louisiana facility, and we are really excited to have him here. So welcome, Keith. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And let me tell everybody what's going on here. We are doing this very special broadcast of the Manufacturing Stream podcast, and we're going to do it as a webinar. We know that everybody is with COVID and logging onto webinars and spending time on your webinars and all that. You are dang sick and tired of PowerPoint slides. And so we are not going to do PowerPoint slides here. We are going to go talk to the actual human being who actually did some stuff. Actually, the couple of human beings. So let me tell you a little bit about Keith at Jeld-Wen in Louisiana, and then also John Richardson. John actually helped the folks at Dodson implement L2L and kind of get where they're at. And so we're really excited to talk to both of these guys and kind of learn how they've done stuff. Let me tell you also a little bit what's going to happen here is that if you're listening on the podcast, and you would like to see this full episode with the videos and everything included, especially some little extra bonus footage here with John. We're going to talk about implementation and how that went and how he kind of approached that thought process. What I want you to do is go to L2L.com/L2L-webinars. Again, that's L2L.com/L2L-webinars for the full video, full webinar of what's actually happening here. And if you signed up to see this live, welcome. We're glad to have you. We're also on that webinar over on L2L.com. You're going to get some extra insights. You're going to get, like I said, the full interview and more insights with John. So, all right, guys, are you ready?
Ready.
You're ready to go. Okay.
Ready to roll.
Manufacturing Stream
Absolutely.
podcast, like we always say, where we talk about manufacturing 4.0, industry 4.0, lean manufacturing, and what do we talk about?
Yeah, we always throw in a little bit of fishing.
We always throw a little bit of fishing, especially when we're talking about a guy who lives in Louisiana. I know we had a little conversation. I don't know that he does a lot of fishing anymore. Definitely some hunting in Louisiana. But we're kind of geeked out on a little fishing. It was sad to hear that John just told me the news that he sold his boat.
Yeah.
So
No, you don't need a boat to fish.
you don't need it.
Not my kind.
All you got to have is waders, right?
But I would like to go to Louisiana and do
To do some redfish.
Redfish.
I wanted that.
Yeah.
So I never looked. Where is Dodson in relationship to the greater state of Louisiana? Where is Dodson at?
So we're actually about 5 hours north of the red fishing spots.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So we're at kind of
That's
north
closer
central.
than-
Yeah, that's a lot closer
That's a
than
lot
we are.
closer than
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
North
right.
central. It's
Yeah.
I guess landmarks would be more like Louisiana Tech and there in Ruston and kind of there between there and Alexandria.
Well, Carmel country.
Yeah,
That's right.
Louisiana Tech.
Yes.
That's right.
Awesome. John, how you doing?
Doing great.
Welcome to the studio, man.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me be a part of this opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think? Pretty nice down here.
Yeah, this is a very
Yeah.
impressive setup.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then of course my buddy Phil, how you
Yeah.
doing? You doing good?
Yeah, doing great.
Good.
Thanks.
Good.
Good to be here.
Thanks for the hot tip on the Rainbow Warrior.
Yeah, that worked
Live.
out for you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I did
Good.
really well.
That's good to hear.
And I can't wait to go back. So
Well, let's do it.
good. All right. So let's start off a little bit as we go in today. Let me tell you a little bit of a background here. So Jeld-Wen, and I'm going to have Keith dive into exactly what they do, but Jeld-Wen has been very, very successful with the implementation of L2L. And I say successful because we're going to talk a lot about what we've been talking about lately about culture and about how it's changed the way that things have gone on in the plant And I really want to get into that. This is not going to be, and I don't want it to be, and we never ever do that. This is not going to be a sales pitch for L2L, right? We're going to let results speak for themselves. So you guys make a decision, but this is not going to be, but this is going to be information on how a good plant got a lot better in digital transformation and did that process. And we're going to learn how they did it right from Keith and right from John. And so I want to get into that. So first thing, if you can, Keith, give me a little bio on the Dodson facility. Jeld-Wen, where are you guys? What do you do? How many employees do you have? All that kind of stuff, if you can.
Okay, sure. So Jeld-Wen is one of the world's premier doors and windows manufacturers. Our facility here in Dodson is part of the door components group. We manufacture interior door panels, kind of the designer panels that you see on both sides of your interior doors. And we roughly make about 15 million of them a year, and that's growing. So we're doing well with that. Basically, we have about 128 employees here on site. There's 22 maintenance, about 12 salary, and the rest in operations. It is a fully automated plant. For the most part. We have our process. We take wood chips from local, residuals from manufacturing sites in the local areas. We refine them into the fiber, blend them with resin, and press it into panels. And we do roughly 48 a minute. So it's a pretty aggressive or pretty steady process. So the interesting thing about it is there was this facility was hungry for something different. We were although the equipment was automated, we really weren't taking advantage of it, and we weren't taking advantage of collecting that data and using it with any type of smart manufacturing platform or anything that would help us to make use of it. So we kind of were, going from day to day with, where you think you are, but you really don't know because, you don't have scoreboards. You don't have things that really tell you the reality. And everybody knows that when you're trying to do things with pencil and paper, everything and spreadsheets, that you only have a certain amount that you can really even trust the information that you're getting, and you tend to go off on tangents and focus on things where people have that old feeling that this is the problem, but they don't really have the data there to back them up, or the system in place to tell them, hey, look here and check this. And
let alone the inefficiencies, right? I mean, that having to write all that stuff down manually, somebody misplaces it. It just runs the gamut, right? So
absolutely.
Talking about digitalization, and as you mentioned, your process is really automated. So you've got a lot of, I would assume, some robotics and a lot of different technical equipment on that floor that is constantly gathering really vital and important data that your ability to get to that and get to it quickly and have it come out in a format that allows you to make quick decisions is vitally important to your business. So
timing is everything. Absolutely.
Sure. Okay.
Absolutely. And the one thing, you and I were both at by the way, congratulations on the Manufacturing Leadership Council nomination as one of the companies. What category were you guys in again? I'm trying to remember what category.
It was digital process transformation.
Yeah, that's right.
Nice.
One of the top companies in digital
Well-deserved.
process transformation. Yeah, great job, John,
Well-deserved.
helping them out to get to that point. So I know, Keith, you and I spoke that John was a big part of helping you guys get there on that. So
Absolutely.
what did you, John, when you first went into Jeld-Wen, tell us a little bit of kind of what you saw and what were your thought processes around when you got ready to go help these guys implement
Yeah, so I'm really the first time out on the shop floor, Keith showing me around a little bit. You could tell it was really refreshing to see really the culture and the standards that they had already built. So, their missions of the work site, they had data, whether it's dry erase boards or, paper, but clearly posted around the plant with the mission. So the report cards are there, right?
Yeah, you could walk around, you could tell, are we winning or losing
Very
today?
clear. Yep.
But it was very manual.
Very manual, very
Yeah.
manual.
Okay.
Impressive process. I mean, that press alone is
Yeah.
a very impressive machine.
Yeah.
And the product is, when I first started working with Jeld-Wen, I didn't know a lot about Jeld-Wen. And we got this account. So I started kind of researching a little bit about Jeld-Wen. And ironically, I was out, the wife had decided the house was for sale and she was moving and buying a new one. And I was welcome to come with her. But it's funny because we're, going through house after house after house, but I started to pay attention to the windows and the doors in each of these houses. And I actually talked to Keith a little bit, but I mean, literally, 9 out of 10 houses that I'd go through each day all had Jeld-Wen products on it. So ironically, at the time I was working with them, it was a great experience.
Great,
But
yeah.
impressive facility. You can see that really good deep culture, and
Hopefully you got a great discount.
So basically what I'm hearing from John then, Keith, is that it really, it seems like you guys were ready to kind of take the next step, right? And you were
Right.
ready to kind of move. Sounds like the culture was in place. Sounds there was some understanding that we had to have some information and get that information a little quicker, a little faster, a little more, in the hands of the people that can make the decision. So what problems were you running into at the time, and why the decision to kind of make that next jump then, I guess, is the question.
Well, we were well on our way as far as developing the culture, getting the right skill sets, hiring the right people. We were in the infant stages of making that transformation. And we knew that we needed that key piece of, with the smart factory technology. And originally we were just focused on the CMMS part of it, because everything, like we spoke about earlier, it was all paperwork. It was all digital. I mean, not digital. It was all in Excel. Nothing was digital. Nothing was auto-generated or anything like that. It was just a series, a very labor intensive series of collecting data, going around writing down the numbers off the equipment, and it's just really archaic, I guess, a better way of putting it. We were right there primed to take that step.
Yeah.
We actually were fortunate enough to get turned on to L2L, and you guys just knocked it out of the park with the presentation and that, and talking and working with you as well. And the exciting thing about it is when we realized that there was so much more to L2L than what we were getting, which we were originally looking for just the CMMS, and then we were going to take the next steps later. But this was an all-in-one package, which allowed us to go ahead and make the investment, and it really ramped up our timeline of making that full-blown digital transformation, from start to finish.
Yeah, when you talk about,
we're never finished, but
yeah, when you talk about return on investment, that's really where you start to see it being able to implement not just a single piece of the pie, but multiple pieces of the pie that allowed you to see improvements across many different areas. And your ROI then just exponentially gets better, gets faster.
Yeah.
And you realize that return on investment so much quicker.
Well, permission to make an analogy here.
No doubt.
I mean, you said pie. A lot of people think of it that way, that maintenance is a slice and production is a slice and engineering is a slice. But in reality, maintenance is the flour and production is the fruit, and engineering is the butter. And if you don't put it all together, you don't have a pie, right? So that's what, that's kind of the thing that I see, is that what you're realizing is that everybody worked in concert with each other. And then if you put a system in place that helps people do that.
Well, and I loved hearing right out of the gate, the culture was in place.
Right.
Culture eats strategy for breakfast, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
You can have the best strategies in the world, but if you don't have the right culture, you won't execute those strategies.
Yeah. Agreed.
So having the right culture, having the right mindset at the right levels, helping people, especially at the plant, understand, hey, this is important. And it's important, Keith, as the manager of the plant, hey, this is really important to me. We're going to own this. We're going to take it and we're going to drive it. And we're going to see these improvements. Now, everybody's bought in. It didn't have to go from the bottom up, which we've all seen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Implementations where that just doesn't work.
Yeah. It struggles.
You struggle. I mean, there's exceptions.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you create that culture, Keith, which you did, and John walks in, and now he's got something to work with, because he doesn't have to get you on board. You're on board.
Yeah.
And now the job is, we're going to implement the product, and the entire plant is on board.
Yeah.
And you're building the right culture of a trust and empowerment amongst these groups. You're breaking down the walls between engineering, operations, maintenance, all of those things. You now start to become one cohesive team,
Yeah.
utilizing a lot of great tools in the bag that you didn't have at your fingertips before.
Yeah. I'll ask
No
this
doubt.
question. Yeah. I think you're dead on. I mean, you as you come together, I'll ask this question just kind of off of what you said, Phil, but to you, Keith and John, was there a problem that you wanted to solve? Was there something standing in front of you? What was it? Was it scrap? Was it, we need to build more? What was the problem that we wanted to jump out and solve right off the bat? Maybe I'll ask Keith first, and then John, you can kind of join in on what.
For me, and I use this term loosely and not to mean anything negative by it, but ignorance. We were fighting ignorance,
Sure.
and that everybody's ignorant to something. That doesn't necessarily have a
Just
bad
means you didn't
connotation.
know.
We were
you don't know
there
what you
was
don't
just
know.
fighting a
Right.
level of ignorance. We didn't have, necessarily, we needed to build that standard work. We needed that information to know the reality of where we were. We thought we did. And granted, the team had a good pulse for those big hitters that's obvious to everybody, that everybody knows. But the reality of it is, when you start using a system like this and you start pulling it all together, you see so many low-hanging fruit that you can address quickly and get to and make, and they add up. They make big gains in a hurry. Whereas before, we were so focused on just simply fighting those big fires. It was more firefighting mode than, trying to get into a, more of a reliability and actually take control. So we were more victims than we were, operators and managers. And
and you see this because you are so focused on the big problems, the significant events, if you will, right? Not realizing that there's a lot of smaller stuff, you call it low-hanging fruit, maybe some of the easier stuff to solve, but by now having visibility to those and being able to solve those solve some of the bigger problems.
Yeah.
And you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool thing. And we see that a lot with companies. We talk to a lot of them, and yeah, we totally missed this weed out there that was causing.
It was a symptom of the larger problem.
It was a symptom of the larger problem.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
What did you, when you walked in, John, what did you see? I don't want to say this and have it sound wrong, but what, as you walked in and you saw, oh, we're going to be able to help with that, was that?
There was a few things, and like Keith mentioned, I think the team was really focused from the maintenance team in CMMS, right? So there was a big, heavy emphasis focused on maintenance. But what was kind of mind blowing is we introduced the production team during that on-site, those 2 weeks together. The production team was just hungry, right? As soon as they started hearing information, I mean, they were just fully engaged. They're hungry. They were just wanting to learn as much as they could. And they were ready to take it and run. And that's literally what that production team did, is they just picked it up and they ran with it.
It's awesome.
Yeah, but by the way, I think this is awesome. For those of you listening on the podcast, if you would like to see it over his right shoulder in Keith's video view is L2L's production dashboard updating in real time in the background.
Yes.
He's got that in his office, so the plant manager has it in his office and it's updating in real time, and we can watch it flash like every 45 to 90 seconds or something. It updates in the back, so that's kind of awesome while we're talking about this. So really good stuff. So Keith, what have you seen from a culture shift, from where have the folks sunk their teeth into this digital transformation? What's really made sense to them?
Well, where we've seen the biggest gains have been in obviously the maintenance side, and being able to have that organized work and be able to easily schedule, easily prioritize, work through those projects and day-to-day tasks and bigger down the road outages and things like that. We have the capabilities of managing all of that through the system, and it's nice because it's all readily accessible and at your fingertips. On the production side, we're seeing reactions to events or to upsets in the conditions or quality issues or environmental issues in real time. We're seeing it where we can look on this board and we can tell what that scrap rate's running hour by hour, what our waste count is, what's happening, again, real time, and react to it accordingly, versus whereas before we may make it to the end of the shift, or if it's night shift, next morning before the staff comes in, before we're looking at all this paperwork and sorting it out, and then it's like a holy shoot moment, that
time destroys
we just ran 24 hours like this, and
right,
and that can get you in trouble waste wise. It can get you in trouble environmental wise. State don't like it, things like that. Just all aspects of it. Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
if I'm the operator on the line, and I knew that, hey, I just wasted a full day building bad parts.
And
didn't even know it. Oh, and guess what? I get to come in on Saturday
and do it all
make
over.
It up, Right. I'm not real happy, right?
So, it is motivating for them as well to look up and see the green hour by hour, or see, if it's red, then they react to that. They take it personally. They're, fully vested in it. So it's definitely been a huge benefit for us.
Good. That's great, dear.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about how, we started off, and John, we started off with the CMMS, right? That was kind of the initial thought process. What have you seen? What are the gains that we've made in the maintenance group? How are they looking at this inside of the plant?
We're getting much more efficient and we have gotten much more efficient at the work that we do. Not just, I mentioned the scheduling, planning, and all that a few minutes ago, but not just from that standpoint, but from the response times, from being able to quickly look at, see, or mean time to repair, or between failures, know what that response time is, how long a dispatch is staying open, how long are they calling for help before we can respond to it. And it helps us with our staffing, helps us with our planning and manning plan. It definitely the gains that the team has seen and been the most excited about, if you talk to them, is just the ease of having that iPad or tablet or whatever that you're going around with, and having all of the, you can pull up the drawings through a link, or you can pull up the manuals or instructions or the lockout procedure or the confined space permit or whatever they need. Everything they need can be attached right there at their fingertips. And then if they pull apart, it's right there in the, in the stores and the spare parts side of it. They
Good, I
can
was
pull it
gonna
up.
ask.
Yeah.
They can pull it up, they can use it, and it asks them right then, do you want to add this to the BOM? And
Beautiful.
I mean, so the team is able to help us build the BOMs, help us build the work plans, help us build these things, and they're enjoying it. And I've done several program implementations throughout my career, and this has by far been the one that has just been the flat out easiest, the most enjoyable. And they just love it. They just take off. It took off, and they are pushing the limits of that's been beyond what we had laid out in the strategic roadmap for implementation. Where, when we did our project closeout, where we thought we would be at a year, we were closing out at 5 months.
Yeah,
So,
right.
that was a huge thing. Just the team's buy-in and just the ease of use, because it made them feel like they were using their phone, and some of them are,
Yeah.
because you can pull it up on your phone.
Yeah.
But it felt modern to them. They were excited about it, and they were glad that, to see it finally, something like this come along.
So not as I want people that are listening, I want to explain something. You may be listening to this for the first time, and not as a selling point, but what L2L is a connected workforce platform. And what that means is that inside of a single platform, you have production scheduling. You also have CMMS, you have skills, you have document control, you have
Spares
all of
management.
spares management is all in the same system working together. So if you're a little confused as to, are we talking about a CMMS, or are we talking about an MES, or what are we talking about? Are we talking about spares management or document control? The answer is yes. That's what a connected workforce platform does. That's the new generation of software inside manufacturing plants that I've been trying to preach for the last couple of years, is that this is a different animal.
Well,
than
this is what the
you're
new
used to.
generation of the workforce is begging for.
Yes.
Right? These guys come in, they're used to using their phones
Yeah.
and their iPads and digital devices to get information.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so to bring somebody in new to a manufacturing environment and say, oh, here's a pad of paper and a pencil, please scratch this down for me. It's demoralizing to them, right? They're like, what?
Yeah.
You kidding me?
Yeah.
I got to write this down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't even write.
Yeah.
Well,
I know, John. I mean, I know this wasn't all, bonbons and rainbows and stuff when we go in there. What were some of the challenges that you guys faced, kind of getting to this? I mean, you guys did a fantastic job getting to this point. And what are some of the challenges that you saw going in that we had to hurt?
It was a fast implementation. I mean, it went relatively fast. Things that Keith and his team, from the kickoff approach, Keith's approach to it and the team's approach to it is they really try to methodically think about not only Dodson, but other facilities. I think they really try to focus on, if this is going to be scalable at other facilities. So they really try to define all those corporate standards and things, in a roadmap during the install, so that
sure,
if other facilities, and I think Keith, you remember there was other facilities calling you, they were looking for CMMSs also. So that was a little bit of a challenge, kind of maybe make the implementation slightly slower. But a lot of those standards, they're documented, they're down, just to ease the implementation at other facilities we potentially get an opportunity to work with them.
Yeah, there's a great video that we have of the Dotson facility. We actually went out and made a video at the Dotson facility, right? And and I don't remember who it was talking about the paperless process right? We've
Yeah.
taking this massive stack of paperwork and basically have kind of gotten rid of it, right? And so being this this avenue, if you will, to not only help production, help maintenance, help engineering, whatever, but also to be that driver of kind of that environmental change as well, you know, to be able to kind of get rid of all that paperwork that we're generating every single day. Talk a little bit
Right.
about what the guys think about not having to fill out paperwork every day and stuff like that. Keith, how's that going?
Well, the
was-
most common comment that I get if we start down that road and have that conversation is, don't make me go back to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
That was huge for your team. I
That
remember
was
the whole paper
huge.
and digital. You guys had some KPIs around that, what the plant saved, but I think that was one of the huge, just the digital transformation and paper.
Yeah,
elimination.
it was a big deal for us. I mean, we had a stack probably 5 inches worth of paperwork
Right,
that we
right.
were generating all, you know, every day. And it was ludicrous to look at. And then we had managers that were taking that information and sorting through all of that and putting it into spreadsheets and converting it. I mean, it's just
A lot of inefficiencies.
efficiency was nowhere in the, you know, in the conversation
I
at
think
the time.
what I'll do
And
is post production here. I may go like insert those videos into this video so that when we're talking about this, I'll go play that video
that'd be
of that
great.
interview so that people can hear that process
That's
of going.
powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. So be able to go. So you'll be able to find that over on the website if you're watching the video portion of that.
Yeah, that's great.
So the other thing that I heard of, you guys talk a little bit about that. How's your team meetings going now? How do the team meetings run in comparison to where we were a year ago, 2 years ago?
yeah, much smoother, because whether it's an operations meeting, whether it's a maintenance meeting, you know, safety meeting, we're able to, you know, look at real-time data, just pull it straight up on the screens. We have these monitors everywhere. Matter of fact, if you go over into, you know, the common areas and all that, there's 4 and 5 monitors in each room over there showing the different facets of the, you know, the shop floor. And, you know, so those meetings center around what we have in the L2L system now. You know, and again, it tells us what's happening right then, what happened the previous hour, because we do have our set up on an hour by hour pitch cycle, and that's what works best for us on a, you know, kind of working off an hour by hour board mentality.
Right.
No, that's,
And you know, we're
that's
able
great.
to pull all that out.
you know, I've always said you got to have one source of the truth.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
One source of the truth.
Yeah.
If you got everybody's writing their own stuff down and you're trying to put that together and trying to make decisions from that, it's so difficult when, you know, operations thinks, well,
I'm
Hey,
other.
yeah,
right? Other
yeah.
maintenance is other.
maintenance is
Yeah.
other,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, or
Right.
you know, or whatever, right? But one source of truth, one place to look at to keep score, to know
Yep.
what the score is. You imagine watching an NBA game where
The scoreboard was covered
scoreboard's
till the
covered
end.
and
Yes.
till the end, you don't really know, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden at the end, oh geez, we won or we did. You know, you can't make adjustments during the game. You
Yeah.
can't. Your options are so limited, but having one source of truth and real time visual data allows you to make those substitutions and changes to the game right now.
Right then. and-
Right now.
Yeah.
Right.
And even during the implementation, we're 3 days into go live. I was able to participate in many of Keith's meetings, but I mean, they've got their tier meeting set up. It's, you know, like on the clock that you got that whole group in that office. They've got their monitors up. They've got all their
Yeah. Walk me through that. Like, tell me, let's get in a little more detail. Like, what does it look like? You walk into a meeting, and I'm asking you this, John, from the outsider. Tell me what it looks like.
Well, it was refreshing because that's what I did for 25 years,
Right.
where I came from. So it was very refreshing because I'll be honest,
Because you lived it.
I lived it,
You lived it.
but walking into Jeld-Wen, it was refreshing because I don't see that in each facility that I go to
Right,
and implement,
right.
right? It's
Yes.
it's not there. That culture's not there. They're not executing those tier meetings. And first thing in the morning, even the production. So as part of the maintenance, production's gathering up first thing in the morning. They're walking all the lines. They're talking their metrics. They're looking at the portals. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
So we're doing a gimbal walk then on these.
they are
Yes.
doing their gimbal walk.
Really?
Yep.
Awesome.
They've got their missions of the work site, safety, quality, delivery, and they're following up on each one.
And if it's not in L2L, it didn't happen. I mean,
Right.
you guys are saying,
Yeah.
you can tell me anything you want, but if it's not in there,
That's
it
right.
didn't happen.
It didn't
Yeah.
happen.
So
Yeah, it's a great way to put it. That's a great saying from way back, right?
Way back.
If it's
Yeah.
not an L2L, it didn't happen.
That's
Awesome.
the truth.
So I'm going to get in big trouble here, Keith. You and I were at the awards, and I can't remember the name of the guy that was with you. He's going to kill me. It's just one of these old
Carlos.
Carlos.
Oh,
Gosh
Carlos.
darn it. Gosh darn it. Sorry, Carlos. I apologize. I really do. My mind just went blank here. I was trying to think. Carlos was talking last week about the environmental side, about
Right.
how massive this has been from an environmental impact. Talk a little bit about that. Give me a little insight of what that is about, Keith.
So, obviously our process, there's a lot of environmental regulations and all that stuff that go into it. We have a biofilter that helps filter out, our air discharge. We have an ESP that helps from the boiler discharge. It's all about emissions. It's all about water, quality. It's, so many things that we have to monitor. We have to test regularly and stay on top of. And being able to, it seems like we stayed in trouble. It seemed like, because
perpetual trouble.
you'd have our Sims room out by the ESP that monitors the emissions from that stack. Air conditioner goes out, overheats, or you have so the test failed, things like that. And it may send it, it may be set up where it sends an email, but we're not sitting here running our plan off of email. Nobody's sitting at a desk all the time. We're on the floor. We're engaged. Whereas it's, you don't need to see that hours later or a day later when you get back to your office and you're kind of catching up on things. So what this has allowed us to do is, we have tied all that into L2L. We get dispatches if the air conditioner temperature gets too high, or we need to clean a filter, if a test fails, then we know that goes out to where the team members get it directly. They get it on their phones, their watches, their tablets. It goes up on the screens behind us. They know, hey, we got to go check that now. We get to it, we reset it, retest it, and we're all good.
So you're moving from a
graces
very
there.
reactive,
Right.
very reactive environment to a proactive environment.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And we
That's
also
perfect.
are able to capture that data, and we can use our dispatch history directly when we're sitting
Traceability,
there
yeah.
with LDQ or whatever, and they're asking, what work have you done on these bag houses? What work have you done on these filters? Okay,
Awesome.
it's all
Yeah.
right here.
Great.
And that, satisfies the needs that the state has had for us. So it's
Yeah,
worked out really well.
my own knowledge, LDQ stands for.
I'm sorry,
That's
Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality.
Okay, cool.
So DEQ.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just want to make LDEQ then.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. And so they really like what they see when they come in the system.
Yes.
As well, then. Really.
Traceability
we
in
actually-
the data. Yeah.
I probably shouldn't say this, but we actually got waiver on a couple of the requirements that we had this year. And they stated in there that we've demonstrated a much improved response and stewardship of the environment.
That's great.
So
beautiful.
We won't tell anybody.
They're definitely
Yeah, we won't.
That's awesome, Keith, because I
Yeah,
remember on site, that was one of the primary focuses, right, that you guys were working on, right? During that implementation. So that's impressive.
Well, that's awesome. I'm always impressed when we talk about about Jeld-Wen and what you guys have done. What has it done, Keith, for for the overall, and maybe I already asked this question, but what has it done for the overall culture and
Morale.
esprit de corps and camaraderie of the plant? You know, just that thought process of everybody being on the same page.
You know, honestly, this may sound strange, but it's been kind of a stress reliever because, again, having that information readily available, having you know, the data right there on the screen and the operator comments right there on the screen to know what's going on. You know, we can as managers show up and we can ask questions that are more helpful, that are
Right.
more, you know, insightful as to, hey, what can I do to help you? Because I already see on the board what's going on. I don't have to walk up and say, what are you doing? What's happening?
Right.
You know, you
Right.
get into that
Right.
old school mentality of those
Yeah.
drilling
Yeah.
questions that make people uncomfortable by
Just the
nature because
facts, ma'am.
they
Just the
feel like
facts.
they're
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
something wrong, but it's
Right.
not that
Right.
case. But
Right.
you know, we see team members with smiles on their faces common, you know, and just and you know, you brought up Carlos a minute ago. Carlos is actually my boss, and I can't say enough of what that executive sponsorship means.
Mm.
Oh boy.
You know, having that buy-in and having that you know, willingness to support and guidance from higher ups, or I guess, you know, us seeing the same needs and seeing, you know, it's just very encouraging. It's
Yeah,
very
Yeah,
encouraging, and
absolutely.
it empowers us to do what we need to do. But
Yeah.
and
Huge.
that trickles all the way down to the floor, you
Oh.
know, and it pays dividends. It's a huge recruiting tool for us because not
Yeah,
everybody
absolutely.
has this stuff, you know, and when you're in the middle of central Louisiana and nothing around you but trees and, you know, but a few other wood manufacturing type plants, and you have recruits that are coming in and we're talking to them and they're seeing these scoreboards and they're seeing these displays and they're seeing guys with the iPads and all that. Man, I mean, I'm in a situation I've never been in before where, you know, I actually have a waiting list for qualified
Wow.
maintenance
Oh,
people
wow.
that are
That's
wanting to
really
come to
good.
work here
Well,
That's
and
awesome.
in operations.
and now you've got operators that are bought in. They feel trusted. They're empowered,
Yep.
and that creates a great culture
Yeah.
to work in.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
I mean, this goes. We talk about executive sponsorship, really important. Carlos, great job, Keith, for taking on those roles. But the guys that come in every day, I'm convinced, I've said it before,
Oh, yeah.
90 to 95% of people that come to work they want to do a good job.
They want to succeed.
That's right.
They want to
win.
come in and put in a good day's work and feel like and go home feeling like, hey, I contributed today
I made a
and,
difference.
and I mattered.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Right.
mattered. My
That's right.
opinion mattered. They came to me and asked me about this consistent problem that we're seeing. I kept hearing the machine go clunk when it should have went clank, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Why? You know,
Yep.
they wanted my opinion. They want me involved in the solution. I feel a part of the bigger team.
Well, that
They
is
do.
the connected
Connected
workforce,
workforce.
right?
They
That
get a
is
voice.
the
Right,
connected
right.
Have a
workforce.
voice.
Yeah, they got a voice.
When everybody has a say
Yeah.
and everybody know the beautiful thing about a system like L2L, and I'm sure other systems are like that, but there's no, when you have everybody involved, when we all have a mobile device in our hand and are inputting what's going on every single day, what's happening, what are my problems, what are the best things that are happening, there's nowhere to hide that data. It's right there, so everybody sees it. So if you're and I know Keith's not this way, but if you're a leader that's not reacting to that data, then it is plain to see that
Right.
Yeah.
that you don't want to react to something that's obviously right there in front of your face, because
Right.
it's so right there in front of your face. So
And
Very
you know,
transparent. Yep.
yeah.
one great thing too is, you know, the flexibility that's built into this system has allowed us to, you know, kind of take those basic steps that you always talk about that you want to do as a leader, and you encourage, and like, you know, operator maintenance touch bases, go talk to that operator, go talk, you know, have that one-on-one just the maintenance guy and the operator, you know, the shift guy and the operator, whatever, and talk to them, see how it's running, see how it sounds, that kind of thing. Well, we created a dispatch category for operator maintenance touch base.
Great.
There you go.
And the maintenance guys actually log those conversations, and they straight from that dispatch, if that operator has an issue or something that they're just a nuisance thing they just been dealing with or whatever, then that he'll trigger the maintenance person putting that filling that out will actually trigger a work order straight from that dispatch
Beautiful.
to put it into our queue to build for our down day or whatever, or the next shift or whatever we need to do. And things like that is one of the, I think, and I know we're saying this isn't a sales call, and I'm not talking about it from that perspective, because I'm just meaning that's a huge selling point for me when it comes to talking to the other facilities within Jeld-Wen that are questioning, hey, we're going to make this transformation, or we heard you did it, we want to be next on the list. And, that's some of the things that gets me excited when I'm talking to them and getting them excited. Just the flexibility of being able to what to do. We've done one for management of change, being able to track changes that we're doing. We've done, man, you can tie it all together, and it's just I guess the definition of being fully plugged in, and that's the way society is nowadays. And
that's
this
so
gives us that on the shop floor.
That's so interesting that when you go first and you've embraced it and you've done it right and you've executed this well, I mean, the rest of the facilities are clamoring, right? They're like, hey, I can't get this far behind Keith.
I want to be like Mike.
He's killing it.
Exactly.
He's killing us.
Yeah,
man. I want to be next.
Yeah.
I want to be next.
That's right.
And that's what happens is they see the success and they just start lining up.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah.
So
hey, we could talk all day long. I know I'm running out of time. I know, Keith, it's probably, you're the plant manager, so it's Louisiana time.
There's no end to the day.
Yeah, I was gonna say exactly. Yeah. So, but I know we're running out of time here. Listen, buddy, I really appreciate you joining me. I'm so glad that we got to spend some time together at the Manufacturing Leadership Council Awards. You guys go check out what Jeld-Wen did there. And I know you can, I think it's mlc.org. I believe that's where it's at. You can go see, and all the photos are on there from we were all there. It was a great time down in Florida. I mean, Florida at the end of June, not exactly the coolest place in the world, but I guess if you're from Louisiana, it doesn't matter.
It was about 10 degrees cooler.
Was it really? Yeah. So really grateful for you to join us here today. I hope everybody listen. If you're listening to this on the webinar, I hope you had some great insights as to just how digital transformation happens in factories, how it can change the culture. It really is a culture change for the positive if you do it in the right way. And I know that, Keith, you would be more than open to, answer any questions from people if they had questions. We send them on to you, how you did this or how you did that. And you guys have been more than gracious to open up your facility. So, we show videos and people ask questions, get them in there. And I know John is always available to answer questions. Anybody has questions on how to do that, and as well as I am, and Phil's there. Yeah. We're more than happy to do that. So, thanks for joining us. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for joining us for this webinar, for everybody that's online, and I appreciate you a bunch.
And Keith, pleasure to meet you.
Yeah. Likewise. Thanks for having me.
And want to just continue to hear about your success, and we'll just stay in touch and keep us posted.
Yeah, Keith, just it's good to see you again. I haven't seen you for a little bit, but I mean, I can't thank you enough. Your success of Dots, and 100%. There's a lot of it's on your shoulders.
Absolutely. And John, and you guys are rock stars. I made a statement the other day. We went through the process, and John had the challenge of keeping us between the lines, on keeping us on the path. But the support's been outstanding, and it's greatly appreciated.
No.
Don't say too much more to John.
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
that.
we have to.
We
live
can't
with the
get his
guy.
head out
Yeah,
of his doorway.
It was,
If it gets any bigger.
it was a pleasure to be on that team. Honestly, that's a great group you got down there. So,
Thank
All
you.
right, everybody. Thanks for joining us for this special edition of the Manufacturing Stream podcast, brought to you by L2L, obviously the easiest, most affordable, fastest path to bring about digital transformation in your factory, as you heard right here from the horse's mouth. We couldn't have said it any better ourselves. Go follow us on all our social media platforms on LinkedIn, Facebook, and on Twitter. And for those of you that were online listening to this, hey, thanks, appreciate it. If you're listening to this on a podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you're listening to this, if you want to watch this video, again, go to l2l.com/L2L-webinars, and that'll take you to a place where you can go get the full video of this interview and some extra stuff there as well. We're going to interview John and talk a little more about tactics here, just in a general, not necessarily with Jeld-Wen, but talk a little more about tactics of doing digital transformation and how he does that. So again, thanks everybody for joining, and we will see you and hear you next time. Talk
Thanks.
to you all later. See you. Bye.
thanks.
There you go.